Just after midnight, deep inside a secret Soviet bunker, a computer announced the beginning of the end of the world. A nuclear missile had been launched from the United States. Seconds later, the system detected four more. The officer in charge had only minutes to decide whether the attack was real. Everything around him said it was. But Stanislav Petrov did something extraordinary. He looked at the computer and decided not to believe it. If he was wrong, millions of people would die without warning. If he was right, his decision might prevent World War III. This is the true story of one of the most terrifying nights in human history. The date was September 26th, 1983. The Cold War had divided the planet between two nuclear superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. Together, they possessed enough nuclear weapons to destroy cities across the planet many times over. But these weapons created a strange kind of peace called mutually assured destruction. The idea was simple and horrifying. If one country launched its nuclear missiles, the other would launch its own before being destroyed. Both sides would lose, so neither side would dare attack. At least that was the theory. In reality, the system depended on technology detecting an attack correctly, and on frightened human beings making perfect decisions under extreme pressure. In 1983, that pressure was unusually high. Only 3 weeks earlier, the Soviet military had shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007 after it entered a restricted Soviet airspace. All 269 people aboard were killed, including dozens of Americans. Relations between the superpowers were becoming dangerously hostile. Soviet leaders feared that the United States might attempt a surprise attack. Then, in the middle of this atmosphere, an alarm began screaming. Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov was the duty officer at Serpukhov 15, a secret early warning command center outside Moscow. Its job was to monitor Soviet satellites watching American missile bases. Petrov wasn't sitting beside a large red launch button. His role was more subtle, but extremely important. If the satellites detected a launch, Petrov had to judge whether the warning was genuine and report his conclusion up the military chain of command. Soviet leaders could then decide whether to retaliate. That night, the bunker was filled with officers, technicians, and glowing screens. Then the siren activated. On the main display appeared a single terrifying word: launch. The computer indicated that an American intercontinental ballistic missile was heading toward the Soviet Union. According to the system, the probability of an attack was extremely high. All eyes turned toward Petrov. Petrov froze. The satellite system had been designed specifically to detect this moment. Now it was telling him that a nuclear war had begun. But something felt wrong. Why would the United States begin a nuclear war with only one missile? A genuine first strike would probably involve hundreds of weapons. An overwhelming attack intended to destroy Soviet missiles before they could be launched. One missile made little strategic sense. Petrov began to suspect a technical error. Then the system detected another missile, and another. Within moments, 5 American missiles appeared to be flying toward the Soviet Union. Petrov's first explanation was beginning to collapse. Imagine his decision. If Petrov reported a real attack, Soviet leaders might order a retaliatory strike. Thousands of nuclear weapons could follow. Cities would disappear. Millions could die immediately, with many more dying from radiation, starvation, and the collapse of society. But if Petrov reported a false alarm and the missiles were real, Soviet cities could be destroyed, while their leaders remained unprepared. And he had only minutes. The computer said the attack was real. The warning lights said it was real. The siren said it was real. Petrov later estimated that he was only about 50% certain that the alarm was false. This wasn't the calm confidence of a movie hero who secretly knew the answer. It was a gamble with consequences almost too large to understand. But Petrov noticed 2 important details.